right now, this meeting that we're having here is part of what's going on across the state and across the country, actually. There's about 30 of these meetings happening all over our state right now. And what it is there's a new group that has formed. Connecticut Opposes the War, and you can see a list of sponsors here, some people who are involved. It's a really broad coalition of people who are opposed to the war. The war has been going on for a couple years now, and I know that right at the beginning, when we got the call that this war was going to happen, there was a lot of, frustration and anger, and people were wondering what's going on, why are we going to war? How can we do something about this and be more informed and do the right thing rather than some drastic action? So there was a lot that we did. I know that I was a part of it. We went down to New York and Washington, and we took to the streets, and we got our message out there to let people know that we care and we want to know. We want to be a part of this decision making. We want to make sure that the right decisions are made. But I don't think that we were heard, and there was some frustration there. But we went on with our lives, and it continued. And now it seems like, especially after this last election, that there is some hope. There is some hope out there that we can do things, that we can get people down in Washington who can carry the message through that we need to make the right decisions on these policies. And we've got people down in Washington who can send that message. We got people here in Connecticut who are going to carry that message to our state capitol, and we're going to do more about it. We're going to go back, we're going to take to the streets again, and on March 17th, nationally, there's going to be, at every state capitol, I think, in the country, there's going to be something going on. There's going to be people in Washington, D.C. again, and there's going to be people at our capitol in Hartford letting people know.
I think this is really important that people continue to speak out, get together, talk to their friends and their neighbors and their family, and kind of debate the issues and educate one another so that we all stay informed together, so that we can together influence, our leaders. Because if we don't speak out, we don't get together, stand out in the cold on Saturdays, holding signs and, letting people know that people care, it can easily go under the radar, and then we would allow President Bush and Vice President Cheney to continue to ignore the public and continue to do whatever they want to do, and not what's in the interests of our troops and of our citizens and of our friends and our allies across the world. So just want to let you know that I signed the letter as a state representative. We're not able to have resolutions come out of the legislature on these matters, but we are allowed to express ourselves. 116 state representatives signed a letter that was sent to our delegation opposing the war, opposing the escalation and the surge in the troops, and trying to send a message from our, leaders on the state level to our federal leaders that we oppose what's happening. We oppose the administration's plans. And that was read by our Congressman Chris Murphy on the floor of the House and read into the record. So I'm proud to have been a part of that. I'm proud to be with you today, and I hope that you continue your activism, continue to oppose this war, and continue to beat the doors of our leaders to make sure that whatever it takes, if there's a new resolution, as you probably know, that's going to try to limit what can happen in Iraq. And I think those are the kinds of efforts we need to let our leaders know that, yes, we support you, and yes, you're doing the right thing, and continue to do that.
Tremendously important, obviously, that we get as much emphasis and support for those of us who want to see this conflict come to an end. Unfortunately, we can't rely apparently exclusively on the Congress. In my view, I regret that we are debating non-binding resolutions, the value of that to some degree, but ultimately I think it's important we start taking positions up or down on this matter. I'd almost rather get a clear vote and get 40 votes than a non-binding resolution with 70 or 80 votes. Anyway, so the fact that we're gathering here today across the state gives us some additional ammunition to make to people that we want this thing brought to a close as quickly as possible. clearly the president, I mean, obviously they decided to ignore the Congress, to ignore the Baker-Hamilton report, military leaders, the American people. Everyone's reached the same conclusions. There is no military solution at all in Iraq, and the quicker we understand that, the greater the likelihood there's some possibility of emerging from this with a stable Iraq and an opportunity for the United States to regain its footing internationally. The president, I believe, is leading the country at a very dangerous path to continued military escalation, more hardship, and make it further and further difficult to achieve the kind of political and diplomatic solution that all of us would like to see.
People here in Connecticut are wondering what they can do to help put their voice, to influence Congress, to influence the president, to bring this war to an end. What can we do here at the grassroots level?
You shouldn't feel reluctant at all. Any single one of you have every constitutional right in the world to communicate with every member of Congress, to call their offices. And Ed will tell you, and the organizers today, of people who have been reluctant in the past to sign on and be supportive of these efforts. And you can start writing, emailing their offices, and expressing to friends or others you may know who live in their states to do likewise. And that kind of direct citizen involvement, I tell you, it does have an effect. It does mean something. Visiting people, asking members of Congress to come by, sit with you and talk for an hour about these issues as well. And these other states can make a huge, huge difference.
How do you think everything worked out here today?
I think today was a great local meeting. I think statewide we had a great turnout from what I can tell. And we're going to move this forward. We're going to end this war. We're going to push to have Congress cut off the funding. You heard Chris Dodd and John Larson both say that, these non-binding resolutions are got to go and we got to start moving along into a more organized, more structural fashion so we can end this.
We had people come from all over the area and from Bethel to express themselves and express their opposition to the war and commit to, doing grassroots work and talking to their neighbors and organizing and going up to the Capitol. And I'll be there to join them to demonstrate our opposition to Bush's war, or McCain's war.
Now, why do you personally feel that events like this are important?
Well, I think that, if we let the Washington politicos operate in a vacuum, that's how we got into the war in the first place, because people were afraid, I think, our leaders were afraid to stand up and speak out. And in order for our leaders to stand up and speak out, people need to be standing behind them, and they need to know that there are people that are strongly held in their beliefs that they're in opposition, and that gives them courage. I'm an elected official, and it's difficult sometimes to go out there, and you don't know if people are really supporting you or not. You try to do things based on your principles, but if you have your principles and you have people who are supporting you, you tend to do the right thing and you tend to be effective, and we can all send a message that way. So these events are extremely important.
Events like this I think they're really important, like on such a local level, because people in small towns like this, I live in New Milford, Denver is a little bigger, but people in smaller areas, in suburban areas, it's like people don't think they can outreach to people. So things like this, like showing that a decent amount of people in a community care this much about something, I think it really says a lot about a community. I think it really makes people feel good about their community.
Hi, my name is Josh Nassi. I'm just going to provide some information about the meeting that we had. I don't want to be famous. I just want to give the information that we had from the meeting. This is March 17th. We're going to be holding a rally in Hartford. Connecticut Opposes the War is the group, and I think the name pretty much speaks for itself. We want to stop the war. We want to bring our troops home, and we're going to say that together in Hartford on March 17th at 3 p.m.
They're calling for local actions in capitals all over the country. They're calling for national action on the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. And we're trying to gather as many people to both rallies as possible. It's the 4th year anniversary of the war. It's on St. Patrick's Day. We're organizing a bus from Danbury to go to D.C. There's a lot of other groups doing buses to Hartford. And there's a lot of student groups, a lot of communities all over the country that are doing buses to D.C. There's already buses from 150 cities leaving for D.C., student groups, union members, everyone's getting involved. I think it's really great.
we're going to have a great rally and probably pay a trip to Joe Lieberman, our favorite senator from Connecticut, the independent Democrat, as he calls himself. But, we're going to send him a message that he's not speaking for the people of Connecticut, and that the rest of the representatives, including Chris Shays, are starting to come around and say that this war, this troop increase, is the wrong strategy for peace in this world, peace in the Middle East. And we need to let the administration know that we're not going to take it anymore, and if they don't pull out, then we're going to make sure Congress does.
If you want more information about the rally or the organization, you can go to the website www.ctcow.org. That's ConnecticutCow.org. Connecticut opposes the war. That's the acronym COW. Please come join us. I'll also give you my phone number if you want to contact me directly for more information. 203-394-3301. Call me anytime. It was a good meeting today. We had a lot of people here, and this is part of an effort that's happening statewide. I think there were about 30 meetings happening statewide. We had a conference call that connected us all, and we're gonna make a difference.